Is Cody Rhodes really injured? Let's discuss all of that and more. Welcome to Allison Analysis. I'm Ben Allison and I've analysed last night's episode of Friday Night SmackDown and here are my 5 key findings. Before we get into it, if you could like and subscribe, that'd be very much appreciated. Now let's go. In at number 5, why didn't Giovani Vinci debut this week? On last night's episode of Friday Night SmackDown, it was announced that Vinci will finally make his return to the ring, his re-debut as he's calling it, next week on SmackDown. But what I'm asking is why wasn't it this week, considering they were in Germany? And yes, he's not from Germany, but the guy made his name wrestling across Europe on the independent scene, including in Germany. I mean, it would have made 10 times more sense. But don't get me wrong, I've absolutely loved this repackage they've done for him, and I'm really excited to see him debut next week. But I'm still asking myself, surely in front of this German crowd it would have come across better, and then you can hope then that could be repeated in front of the US crowds. I mean, I think it could have replaced the tag team match they did for sure. I still don't really understand why they split him and Kaiser up. Now, don't get me wrong, both guys are good enough to be single stars, that's not the issue. But it was just so sudden, and they didn't do a program for it. Like, surely if they were going to split them up, have them do an actual program. But I do think, down the line, this is going to work out better for them. Of course, we saw Ludwig Kaiser last night against LA Knight on SmackDown, and he looked amazing. He was so over. I was so happy for him. And you guys know me, I hate it when Raw stars go to SmackDown and vice versa. But on this one occasion, I'll let them off, right? Because Ludwig Kaiser deserved this opportunity in Germany, and I'm so glad he got it. And he has been so good since being a single star. At number 4, Michin is highly underrated. She proved this last night in her championship match against Nia Jax, and of course she came up short, but she looked fantastic in it. It was a brilliant main event of Friday Night SmackDown, the crowd were loving it, and it was just a lot of fun. But my question is also, why has she never ever been a main event star anywhere she's been? I mean, in NXT, she was never presented as a proper main eventer. In TNA, to my memory, she was never presented as a main eventer either. I don't get it, because every time I see her have an opportunity, she absolutely kills it. Is there something I'm missing? Is there something that I don't know about her? I don't know. Also, the tease Tiffany Stratton cash-in during the match was hilarious. I hope they keep doing this, where Tiffany considers cashing in every time. Sure, it's a little bit stupid, it's a little bit cheesy, but for this one feud, I actually don't mind it at all. The only improvement I would have had is I would have had Pretty Deadly run out with Tiffany Stratton and then just stand ringside all shocked and all that. I think that could have made it 10 times funnier, and we know they have great chemistry from the backstage segments they've been doing lately. At number 3, could Roman Reigns return alongside Jimmy Uso and Paul Heyman next week? Now, the reason that I think this is because in Solo Sikoa's promo last night, he heavily teased Jimmy Uso, Paul Heyman, and Roman Reigns together, right? He made a big point. He was going through how he took out all 3 of them, and they were showing all 3 of them together one by one, and I have a feeling that they could return together next week. Or maybe I'm just overthinking it, but honestly, I'm not really sure where this feud is heading if I'm being completely honest here. Because I really cannot see them doing Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa until the Royal Rumble at the earliest. So maybe they're trying to set up a War Games match? I mean, who would you do? I guess the Bloodline versus Roman Reigns, the Usos, Sami Zayn. Of course, she's been working with Jey Uso on Raw recently and has a lot of history with the Bloodline. And then I guess Cody Rhodes, if you do Cody versus Solo at Bad Blood. I mean, maybe you could do that. Another option, and this option I don't like, but was also, I guess, teased last night, is Street Profits and DIY with Roman Reigns against them. Because, of course, Solo said that Street Profits and DIY will have to acknowledge him next week. So maybe that's the direction they're heading in for War Games. I hope it's not, because that seems very randomly thrown together. But I just don't know what the direction is. I can't get my head around it. Please, if you guys have your predictions, let me know in the comments down below. In at number 2, why on earth did they spoil AJ Styles' return? He's been off TV for months. There's been a lot of suspense around him. Where has he been? What's he going to do when he returns? And then they just spoil that he's been competing on live events across the last week. And sure, hardcore fans would know this, right? But if they didn't post it on WWE social medias or didn't show it on SmackDown, the vast majority of fans wouldn't know it. I just don't get it because it kills the suspense for his eventual return. And I'm also not entirely sure why he'd gone for a bit. I guess it was just for time off. But when he did leave, I presumed he was going to go to, he was going to cross the Forbidden Portal. He was going to go to Noah. Of course, he did go to Noah. He had that one match against Marufuji. But I thought he'd have a couple of matches in Noah, a couple of matches in TNA, and really cross the prohibited portal in WWE. I mean, hopefully we see him back soon because I'm a big fan of AJ Styles. But I just don't understand what they achieved by showing this last night. I just don't think they should have shown AJ Styles. It's as simple as that. I think it was a stupid decision. They shouldn't have posted him on social media. It makes no sense to me at all. And in at number 1, is Cody Rhodes really injured? The big development coming out of last night's episode of Friday Night SmackDown was that Kevin Owens revealed that Cody Rhodes has an injured knee. But is it real? Could this be Hell in a Cell against Seth Rollins all over again, where Cody Rhodes comes out tomorrow night and we figure out that he has got an injured knee? And suddenly this opens up a legitimate possibility of Kevin Owens actually winning the belt. However, could they just be working us? Is this all a work for us to think exactly that? To think Kevin Owens does have a chance? I don't know. But if it was a work, I would have guessed that Cody Rhodes would have been wearing a knee brace, or it would have been a little more obvious. But maybe, they're now just smarter about it and they're thinking, well, we'll try and outsmart them. Honestly, who knows? But what I do know is I'm suddenly a lot more excited for the match today and it's a lot less predictable now. And to be honest with you, the entire segment between these two was fantastic and did get me excited for the match. Because so far, the build for it has been lackluster to say the least. I understand what they were trying to do, but it just never really felt that interesting to me, other than seeing Kevin Owens and Cody Rhodes in the same ring together. But after last night's segment, well, there's a lot of tension between the two, and suddenly I'm rather excited. And yeah, overall, last night's episode of SmackDown I thought was quite a fun show. As always, when they do these shows in Europe before a pay-per-view, it was always a little bit weird compared to a normal SmackDown, but it was still enjoyable. I enjoyed it, but what did you guys think of it? Please let me know in the comments down below. But thank you guys so much for watching this episode of Allison Analysis. If you guys did enjoy, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe. I really do appreciate it. And I will be back tomorrow to talk about Bash in Berlin. I hope to see you guys then. Ba 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 ba.